Hi guys, thank you very much for joining me. My name is Tom and I'm the Tech Chap, and welcome to my unboxing and quick look of the brand new Microsoft Lumia 950 XL. This is the bigger brother of the Lumia 950. This is 5.7 inches versus the 5.2 of the smaller one. So you can find a quick look and unboxing of the smaller 950 on my channel right now, but this is obviously the bigger brother, and it'll be interesting to see what the differences are and how this feels in the hand. Is it too big? And also just generally what it's like to use. So let's open this up and see what we've got going on. Here it is, the 950 XL. I think it actually looks quite smart, a lot smarter than I thought, considering what a few people have been saying about them. They think saying that they're sort of a bit like a cheap Android phone, definitely not flagship. But actually, you know, the plastic's still on. I haven't looked at this properly yet, but first impressions are it's pretty light for the size of it. It looks quite smart, but we'll come back to that in just a second. Let's see what's in the box. We've got a little product safety and info pamphlet there. If we take this off like so, we have, what do we have inside? I think I know what we have. We have a charger and a USB cable, USB Type-C that is, USB 3 Type-C, which is the new reversible one with faster data transfer speeds and faster charging, I think. I'll have to check on that. But of course the first thing to do is the best part of any unboxing, and that's taking the plastic off. So let's do that first. Comes off nice and easily, put to one side. And there we have it. So this is the Lumia 950 XL, so it's the bigger brother of the Lumia 950. This has a 5.7 inch quad HD display. That means it's got a 2560 by 1440 resolution, which gives it a pixel per inch density of 515. So really, really sharp, right at the top end with other phones. It's the same resolution, same size screen, same PPI as, say, the Galaxy Note series. So very, top end flagship stuff here, which is great to see. From Microsoft. So the phone itself is pretty big. Obviously it is sort of phablet size, if you will. It's 8.1 millimeters thick, which surprisingly is actually 0.1 millimeter thinner than the smaller 950s. So it's actually a touch thinner, not really noticeably though, than the smaller brother. It's also fairly lightweight at 165 grams. That's 5.82 ounces, and also quite compact given its above average screen to body ratio of 74%. That's pretty impressive, and that basically means how much screen there is for the size of the device. It's sort of how thin the bezels are. So let's have a quick chat about the specs. Inside we've got a Snapdragon 810, that's a octa-core chip, 8 cores, along with 3 GB of RAM. So this is a little bit more powerful than the smaller 950, which just has a hexa-core 808 processor, also alongside 3 GB of RAM. So a little bit more powerful this. This is very much like the Nexus 6P versus the Nexus 5X. This is bigger, a little bit more powerful, a little bit faster chip, but sort of generally just the same phone, but just a bigger, different size, different form factor, if you will. So one of the selling points of these phones is that it has a removable back. That does mean that the back cover itself is made of plastic, perhaps does feel a little bit cheaper than other flagship phones, but as you can see, it easily comes off, revealing a pretty big battery here. This is removable, so you can buy another one, have it in your pocket, and swap it out if you're running low, which is something we very rarely see on any other phone, so really pleased to see a removable battery here. Alongside that, we have a micro SD card slot, which you can see you can easily put in without having to take the battery out, which is great. And this supports up to 200 gigabytes cards, so you can get loads of extra space in addition to the 32 gigabytes of built-in storage. So this is a 3340 milliamp hour battery. That's about 10% bigger than the one in the 950, and Microsoft actually say should give you about 10% more battery life than the smaller 950, despite the fact that this has a bigger screen. So we'll have to test that, of course, in the full review and in the comparisons between the 950 and 950 XL, but pretty impressive and a reasonably sized battery. So looking around the phone a bit more, we've got on-screen software buttons here. On the right hand side we've got a power button flanked by the volume rockers and a dedicated camera shutter button. So if I click that, it should open the app like so, very fast, about a second. Very impressive. On the left side we've got nothing at all, completely flat. On the back we have the Microsoft logo, Windows logo, along with the speaker. It's a bit of a strange place for a speaker, nothing on the front or the base. It is the single speaker here to the side of the camera. We also have the new PureView camera. It's 20 megapixels with an f1.9 aperture. I think it looks quite smart, sort of encircled by this silver little metal band here. It does protrude slightly from the phone, as you can see, so you may want to put a case on it to protect that lens, or at least keep an eye on it. It's not entirely flush, but certainly not as protruding as the iPhone 6 cameras or the Galaxy S6, for example. So while the back cover perhaps doesn't feel the most premium compared to other high-end Apple or Android phones, it is removable. So if you scratch it or you want to change the color, you just want to replace it, you can do. I'm sure they'll be pretty cheap. And so I think it looks smart. Perhaps it doesn't feel quite as nice as you'd hope. It's not tacky or cheap by any sort of stretch of the imagination, but it certainly doesn't feel particularly premium. So of course using the phone is very fast. It's got Snapdragon 810, 3 gigs of RAM, so of course it's going to be very, very fast and very fluid, very responsive. But the thing is, as I say, my last phone I used was the Nokia Lumia 920 in about 2013. So, you know, to be honest, not a lot has changed. It looks nicer this, obviously Quad HD, we've got 3 layers of apps, you can change all the sizes as well. But fundamentally, Windows Phone hasn't really changed, and that's a good thing in some ways because it's always been very fast, it's always been very responsive. So on the face of it, maybe you don't see the speed increase, you know, all that powerful hardware underneath making much of a difference just to doing this, just, you know, navigating around the main home screens, because they've always been fast, even on low-powered hardware. That's been one of the key selling points of the earlier phones, which didn't usually have the best hardware, but they would always be quite fast and responsive. So it'll be interesting to see how well this runs some of the latest games and apps, slightly more intensive applications. So you can't really tell the speed difference just on the home screen, but in the full review I'll look into the speed. So a couple of final things to mention. This is Windows Continuum compatible, so if you buy the Microsoft display dock and plug it in, you can plug in a monitor, and this will act as basically a desktop computer, and you can get desktop size applications for Microsoft first party apps like Word and Office and Mail and bits and pieces. So it'll be pretty interesting to see how well that works. I haven't got that with me, and this is an unboxing, and I will be reviewing this as a phone primarily, but it's quite good to see, as you can see there, that we do have compatibility with Continuum. It also has the Windows Hello iris scanning technology via the 5 megapixel front camera, so you can unlock the phone with your eye, with your retina. So in the full review, which I'll have up in a couple of days, I'll take a look at the camera, the battery life, see if it's got fast charging, I'll see how it compares to the smaller 950, which one you should buy, and also how this camera compares to perhaps other flagships, and also the state of the Windows Phone App Store. The software, obviously the apps, is one of the big reasons people aren't so sure on Windows phones. The hardware could be the best in the world, but if the apps aren't out there, then people aren't going to buy it. So I'll see what the state of the App Store is, you know, going into 2016. Is it better than it used to be? So thank you very much for watching, guys. This has been my unboxing and first look at the brand new Microsoft Lumia 950 XL. Please like and subscribe. Let me know what you think of the phone in the comments below, and do stay tuned for the full review coming up in a couple of days.